According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 160 children has an autism spectrum disorder or ASD. ASD is now an umbrella term for conditions such as autism, childhood disintegrative disorder, and Asperger syndrome.
April marks Autism Awareness Month, and we are joined in the studio by experts to shed light on different issues related to autism. And we have with us today Dr. James Partington, a director at Behavior Analysts, Inc., Dr. Sajith Sridharan, the Senior Consultant Adult Neurodevelopment Service at the Department of Psychiatry at the Institute of Mental Health, and Dino Trakakis, a Director of Autism Recovery Work. Great to have you with us today, gentlemen. Let's start off by asking each of you this question. What inspired you to help others with autism? Maybe Dr. Partington, we'll start with you.
Oh, great. Thank you for having us here, and thank you for asking. When I was 20, I started working with children with developmental disabilities and fell in love with teaching them, and I found out I was very, very good at teaching them. About 15 years later, all of a sudden, people kept bringing all these children to me with a diagnosis of autism, asking for help. And they said, well, why are you coming to me? And they said, well, you're the expert in autism. And I said, well, I didn't realize that. And they said, well, you know more than everybody else, and you're helping people. So that's how I got interested, and I just want to give these kids a fair shake in life to let them get ahead and have a meaningful life.
And Sajith?
Basically, I'm a psychiatrist by training, and during my training in the UK, I got interested in mental health issues related to people with autism, and particularly the challenges they faced. And actually went on to subspecialize in this field. So specialize in psychiatry of intellectual disability, which includes autism spectrum disorders as well. And actually, after coming to Singapore, I've been able to contribute to the development of specialist services for adults with autism.
And Mr. Trakakis, you're the director of Autism Recovery Network. Can you tell us how you got involved?
I've always wanted to help children. I've always wanted to work with children. Over the years, I've seen more and more kids becoming dysfunctional. And at some point, I decided to simply start an organization which will focus on helping children anywhere between, the youngest one we have is 7 months to 15 years of age.
So the diagnosis can start as early as 7 months?
There are signs, actually, that you can, if you know what you're looking for, you can see starting at 3 months.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the parents and most professionals don't know how to look for them. Before you see a speech delay, you will notice that there is a significant gross motor delay in the child, which will be followed by a speech delay.
Dr. Partington, you have more than 45 years of clinical experience in language-based intervention with children with autism. Can you tell us maybe some of the common misconceptions when it comes to children in the ASD, please?
Yes, autism as a word is very misunderstood because it covers such a wide range of individuals. If you say somebody has autism, it's like saying they're Asian or Caucasian. You really don't know what you're going to get till you see the individual. And I think two of the major misconceptions are, one is people have seen movies such as Rain Man with Dustin Hoffman and they think they must have some special gift. Well, that's highly unusual, okay? More common is the misconception, though, that individuals with the diagnosis of autism are never going to do well in life. They're not going to be able to have a job, get married, live on their own. But it turns out that with the appropriate treatment at a very early age, intensive intervention, many of these individuals will go on to graduate from high school, go to college, and actually have jobs and get married, have families.
So basically the key is to start intervention early on and on a regular basis.
Early and intensively. Early and intensively.
Got it. Dr. Sridharan, you focus on youth and adults. So these are people who are maybe diagnosed later in life. How different is it dealing with people with autism at this age versus children?
I think, when children with autism grow up to become adults, many of the difficulties they face during their childhood continue to persist unless they received a very good early intervention. But the way they perceive these difficulties as an adult or the way these difficulties affect their lives are different from their experiences in childhood. Basically, the social challenges they face during their adulthood are different. Late adolescence, early adulthood is a period when people with autism become self-conscious about the social isolation, or the feeling that they are somehow different from their peer group. And some people with autism have difficulty adjusting to this realization, and they may then have emotional difficulties as a result. Yeah.
You have children, you have teenagers, you have young adults going through a hard time when they have ASD. So how better can the community, the people around those kids who have ASD, how can they be better supported, Mr. Trakakis?
The community surrounds autistic people on a daily basis. And I think we need to start seeing them in a positive light. They are not, just because they are neurologically different, it doesn't mean they are lesser. It doesn't mean they need to be a burden or they're not a deviant. We just need to make some necessary adjustments in order to accommodate them so they are able to fulfill their dreams. And they also have dreams, they do have aspirations. And by supporting them and making, as I stated, some adjustments, we can level the playing field for them and they can become taxpayers rather than tax burdens.
Now, this autism spectrum disorder, like I said, it is a spectrum. Asperger's syndrome is supposed to be the mildest form of autism. Are we seeing more people clustered in that area, or is it just spread out across the spectrum? Dr. Partington.
I'd say it's spread out across the spectrum. I don't actually know all the numbers for the different types of diagnoses, but we're seeing individuals of all different types of levels of disability.
Are we looking at a spike in the number of people with ASD? Is it a modern day phenomenon, or is it something that is now better captured because we can see the signs a lot
better
better?
Diagnostics,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
I think most likely reason is that we are better at diagnosing and screening for autistic symptoms, and thus able to diagnose more people with autism and offer the help they need. Previously, I think that was not the case, and also just diagnostic classifications of autism spectrum disorders have changed over the years, and they were more strict in diagnosing autism earlier in the 70s and 80s. Now they actually diagnose a variety of conditions with the similar problems in socialization and other behavior issues. Yeah.
I think sorry, go
But
on.
I would like to add that I think that the phenomena of the increasing numbers is also real. I think there are some changes in the diagnostic criteria, but we're just seeing many, many, many more kids than we ever did being diagnosed with autism.
We're almost out of time. Just very quickly from all three of you, if someone's slightly older, can that behavior be corrected? Is there still hope that maybe we can help the individual?
Yeah, this is one of the difficulties I face day to day in my adult autism clinic. Because what we see is that people who come with real emotional difficulties or other behavior issues are those who never received early intervention. So I think early intervention is the key in actually improving the prognosis over time.
And can I add on to that?
Yeah.
Because I think we're almost out of time. I want to cover this because it's really important for your viewers to know that if they have a child, a young child, who's not developing like the typical children around them, their peers, they need to get help right away. They need early intensive behavioral intervention, which is the best research that we have on how to help individuals.
And early is by the age of 2.
By age of 2.
Look, I'm surprised that you can actually help diagnose it from 3 months, you said.
There are signs.
That's fantastic. Hopefully they can catch it early, and obviously early intervention is going to help tremendously. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for sharing insights today. We have been speaking to Dr. James Partington from Behavior Analysts, Inc., Dr. Sajith Sridharan from the Institute of Mental Health, and Mr. Dinar Trakakis of the Autism Recovery Network. Thank you, gentlemen.